let's get started. So today I have a few questions for you first, and then we're going to explore those questions and see what we can do about it, or some strategies there. Okay, so you ready for the questions? Yeah. Are you happy with where you're at in all areas of your life? Do you even have clarity around, where you're at in those areas of your life? Have you spent some time thinking about that? And if you did, if you know where you're at, and you're not happy with where you're at, do you know where you want to be instead? Yeah, because most people I talk to, they're often quite clear on what areas in their life they're not happy with, but they have no idea what they want instead. And I think this is our PTSD in play there as well, that lack of clarity of what is available for us, or what is possible for us. There's often at the core that self-doubt there as well, and the lack of worthiness there. Okay, and when I'm talking about areas of your life, they might look different for different people. Okay, but it can be anything. It can be your health, your job, it can be spirituality, it can be religion, it can be your hobbies, it can be your relationships, your family, if you have children, your inner world. That was always one for me. Finances, your financial world. And yeah, it's endless. But do you know which ones they are for you? And have you spent some time thinking about where you're at there, being very curious and honest with yourself? Okay, that is usually something that is very difficult for my clients, and for myself, by the way. Okay, to have this openness and acceptance. This is where I'm at, and not being too harsh with myself, because there's certain times of your life where you may want to have done better in an area. Maybe it's health. Okay, you had all these goals about your health, that you're really going to look after your body, or perhaps you were training for some sport event or whatever. I trained for a marathon one year, so everything was quite focused around that. But then you have an injury, and it really changes and shifts everything. Okay, or perhaps you had a baby, just had a baby, that really changes things. Or having a job change, or you're having to move those things. So that creates some wobbles there in stuff, because ideally we'd like to have some harmony, some balance between those areas, and spend time in all of those areas and not neglect some. So through all my study years, I often neglected friendship. Okay, you get so busy working and studying, so you neglected it. But when we spend some time on this every month, I've been doing this for 15, 20 years, or more than that. I started that in my 20s, and I'm now in my 40s. So I've been doing this for a long time. But when we pay attention to this every month, and I'm going to share with you how I do that. It's not a big process when you do that every month, but it brings it back on your radar. It's like, oh, actually, last month I neglected my friends, or hey, last month I didn't spend any time on my hobby, whatever that is for you. So you're very clear. You're bringing it back to that, into your awareness. So for me, I had a very basic way of doing this. I had a sheet of paper. Sometimes I typed it up on the computer and I printed it, but half the time I didn't have a printer, so it was handwritten. But some of my clients had some very creative versions of that, and I wish I could show you a photo of it. So you can let your creativity go wild there if you're that way inclined, if that is important to you. But I just had a basic sheet that I blue tacked on my toilet door. Okay, so I really see it a lot. It's always in my mind. Other people like using apps. I have a mentor, she uses the Best Self journal. There's some different kind of journals out there, I think, that cover the life science as well. So there's no one way. All my clients use different ways. I have explored different ones, but I like my sheet, my basic sheet. So where I've listed them all, and on that sheet I just have the focus on that month. So I set a little goal for myself, and when I say goal, It has to be something achievable. Okay. And with complex PTSD, we have a tendency to be at the extreme ends. We're setting ourselves some goals that are at such high expectations of ourselves in a way it's just not, sometimes not humanly possible, and sometimes it's just not possible right now, okay, because of the circumstances. Perhaps you've just been sick, or perhaps one of your children has been sick, or something like that. Okay, so it's not realistic for this month. So or the flip side, we don't set any expectations for ourselves. Okay, and I've done that too. So where I've just gone along and done the same thing, and I just didn't challenge myself at all. But deep down, we know, don't we? It doesn't. We know that we could do better, and that we could push ourselves a little more, or that we could achieve more in whatever that area is. And when we don't, we rob ourselves of an opportunity to feel good. Okay, because every time we have those little goals, and that's a lot. So if you have a little goal in each one of those areas, if you multiply that out by the year, you've achieved a lot. Okay, but we also want to pause all the time. I always say a minimum of 3 seconds, ideally 10 seconds, to really acknowledge that, hey, I just did that. I did whatever your goal was. Perhaps for you it's connection, being more connected with your friends. Maybe you set that goal that at least once a month you're going to catch up with someone and you do something together. Or perhaps you said that once a week you call someone up you haven't spoken to for a long time, but someone that is actually meaningful, or that someone you like, or something like that. Okay, whatever your goal there is, to pause and really acknowledge, hey, I did that. And allowing that to feel good, in your body. Let that in, let that sink into your heart. And sometimes when we feel really numb, there might not be a big shift in your emotions or sensations in your body. But there might be a little bit of sparkle, or maybe there is a little bit of a lightness or something there to tune in. The more we spend time to tuning in, the more we can kind of almost get more amplify, we get more aware of those little shifts within us. Okay. If you have never done that, I just want to highlight that too. The very first time I sat down, I really allowed myself, I think it was like half a day or maybe even longer, but I really just dedicated to that, and I really sat down and explored that for myself. So the first time was a long one, but now every month, this is so quick, because like I said, I've been doing that for a few decades. I just go through that, and it's like a recalibration, because it gives me a direction. I have clarity on where I want to go. I know where I'm at, and I'm very clear on where I want to go, and what I need to do, what my next step is. Okay, do you know your next step to get where you want to go? That's what that helps me. So even knowing that the first time you sit down doing this might take a little longer, and you may even need some help with that. Like I had help, I did courses on this. I was very passionate and a little bit obsessed about that at the beginning. That was just me. But that time that you invest there is well worth it. Okay, like for example, my inner world is one of my zones that I really focus on every month. And back then, I had nothing but hate for myself. Yeah, that was this constant inner war. But I knew where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to have more harmony. And I do have harmony, and I have more peace and calm within now. Because I was so intentional, I was so clear that this is where I want to go. And this is how I created that for myself. Yeah, like that. So in all the areas there, there's no right or wrong the way you structure that. You can be very creative, but it's more about being clear on where you're at, accepting that with kindness. This is where I'm at, and that is perfect. I'm right where I'm meant to be in this moment. And then thinking about where you want to go. So if you do need help with that, then by all means, please call out, and we can set up a discovery call, and we can have a bit of a chat about what that would look like. I do have some coaching packages where I do that with my clients. Obviously, the life zones is a very important part of improving our lives, but that's not the only thing that I do. We also explore things like, where in your area do you still live into the identity that some toxic or abusive people in the past created for you? Where do you live into that still, or helping you feel more confident and safe within your own body, being you, expressing you, being your quirky self, have room for your flaws and all, and just being able to have some more compassion and love with ourselves, really befriending ourselves, and lots more. Okay, so there's lots of things I do, but the life sense, that little practice, I really highly recommend that you try it, and I want to hear how you go if you did that too, and whether you had a more creative version than my little table that I do as well. But it's really helped me stay on track, because I had this on the toilet door. I was walking past it all the time, so it was always kind of that awareness there. Oh yes, that's right, I haven't called my friend again. Oh yeah, I wanted to do that hobby and I haven't done that today yet, to be very, whatever those things are, but having that hanging up somewhere, I don't know maybe for you it's the fridge or next to the bed or somewhere, or maybe have an alarm going off on your phone that reminds you of that. It doesn't matter, but we need some external reminders, or I did. I need those external visual reminders for myself, so I don't slide back thinking about the past or worrying about the future. Back here and now, this is where I'm at, and this is my next step. Being very focused on that. So that's enough for today, I think. So thank you for being here with me, and if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. And as always, sending you lots and lots of love and rainbows to brighten up the tough times just a little. See ya, bye.